We made it another week.
Another week. Another week. Insane week.
Yeah.
I'm just talking
Very
about like the
insane for
weather.
you.
We're just talking about the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I was lucky enough to get the 24-hour stomach bug this week. So that was
Ugh.
fun. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
And I had to reschedule our recording because I had a migraine. So we're just fun this
this
week.
is what I look like during the daylight, everybody.
I know it does look so much brighter behind you.
It was so weird to like not go and like turn on all my like different lights
Yeah.
to record. I was like, wow,
You can
it
like
was,
see the whole wall.
yeah, I know, right? Um,
Not me. I force things to be dark no matter the time.
well, this is typical though. Like, okay, so you have your light purple sweatshirt on and your
Mm-hmm.
dark purple wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I have my gray wall and my
Oh, you
light gray
do?
sweatshirt on because like gray is my color, purple's your color.
Yes.
So
We're vibing in our
vibing.
individualness.
Um, I have an icebreaker for you, and I don't know how to word
Ooh.
it, but like
Ooh.
you're not gonna be surprised by this, but is
Yeah.
there like is there something food related that you're like, why aren't more people onto this? Like
Ooh.
whether it's like breakfast for dinner or like a combination that like you think is like bomb.com.
Well, yes, it won't apply to you because there's meat involved, but
Hmm.
technically, yes, I have been thinking thinking something very much along these lines. So, I discovered on Pinterest some recipe for uh butter garlic butter chicken and potatoes. And the reason that more people need to know about it is you make it in like a crock pot. I kind of switched to an instant pot, which is like I'm sharing too many details, but you can do slow cooking in that. So that's basically my crock pot
Right.
now. But you basically cut up like depending on how many pieces of chicken you're wanting to make, you cut up like a pound of I've been using the little potatoes. Um I keep having hiccups. Sorry, guys. And so you lay them completely, like cover the bottom of your slow cooker or whatever you're using.
Hmm.
And then I season, like, typically I make three. So then I season three chicken breasts with paprika, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. And then you place the chicken on top of the potatoes, and then you melt like 3 tablespoons of butter and put a bunch of garlic and parsley in it. And then you like pour it over the chicken and you just
Hmm.
leave it in the slow cooker for like 2 hours. It makes the like most tender. I am very, very specific with my chicken, as you all heard last week when I said I won't eat Qdoba chicken. I'm so particular about my chicken. It makes it so like it's like almost like pull apart. You could almost pull it apart. It's just it's if you like meat, it's the best way to eat it. And then like all the juices like cook down through the chicken and into the potatoes. Then you also have these really garlicky, yummy potatoes, and it's so easy. So that is why I have been telling like I just told my sister-in-law, I was like, when you don't want to cook, but you still want like heartwarming food, especially in these really frigid temperatures that we were just talking about.
Hmm.
It's perfect because like I'll go downstairs at like 3 and just kind of do very minimal food prep, put it in there, go back upstairs, finish my work, and at like 5:30 the house smells so garlicky and yummy, and it's just a really 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 good hearty winter meal. So yeah,
Damn.
and it's
Okay.
so simple. What about you?
I don't want to go now.
I mean, mine was so, it is a
That is
hyperfixation
a
meal of mine right now.
that is like Chef Kate. Okay, so
Yes.
mine
Yes, chef.
was the idea that I had from this is because I could not wait to text you last Sunday, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
But like right now, I'm in my era of like if I don't know what to eat for dinner, or I don't want something super heavy, or I'm feeling lazy, or I'm just like indecisive, or I'm not even that hungry, but I know I have to eat. Like my
Yes.
thing right now is like a bowl of cereal for dinner is
Yes.
hitting the spot for me more now of day, like more like now than anything that I'm like craving.
Yeah.
Like if you were
I
like, do you
love
want Taco
cereal.
Bell? Do you want like that? Like, do you want like potato tacos? Do you want like pasta? I'm like, no, like a bowl of cereal hits the spot.
Yeah, it does. I've done that a couple times. I had two migraines this week, not to just share all of my woes with people, but both of them came on like in the middle of the afternoon. So then my ability to prep dinner was just like completely fucked. So I had what are they called? Apple cinnamon Cheerios? Is that all they're called?
Oh yeah.
I had that for dinner twice this week. So I'm with you on that one too.
My favorite one right now is called oatmeal crisp.
Hmm.
Everyone loves
I
it.
really like it.
Yeah. Oatmeal crisp, so good, so good. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
flakes of like Special K, but there's like oatmeal clusters in it.
Oh,
It
that
is
sounds good.
elite. I don't know what I did. I don't know how many of them there are, but if you are looking for it, it's called oatmeal crisp. I don't know
Hmm.
what version I got, but like when you Google it, it shows like what's on the box or what's in the
Oh,
box on the cover of the box.
yeah.
Mine for some reason does not have almonds in it,
Oh,
but they're on the box. So I don't
that's weird.
know what one I got, but oatmeal crisp is elite and one I will die. That and the Reese's Puffs cereal, top
Oh,
notch.
cinnamon toast crunch. That's my
Oh
other
my
like
God.
I
Yes.
could eat a whole there was a time when I had COVID the second time, I ate a whole box on my own in like 36 hours.
It's so easy. It's so easy. And
Yeah,
I
and
just like
it's so
love
good.
cereal for dinner. And I think that's what I'm gonna
Hmm.
have for dinner tonight. I
It sounds like it.
with the yeah, well, so with the really cold weather, our high last
Yeah.
weekend was like I think like 10 degrees, but it was really
Oh.
windy. And I was like,
Hmm.
I'm not going grocery shopping this week.
Yeah,
I am not going out in this. And
I
tomorrow
get
the high
that.
is 37. So I will be
Yeah.
grocery shopping for the first time in 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
I think cereal
I
for dinner.
was I had the same experience though because I was convinced I was going to make tequila lime chicken last week because it is so just so flavorful and I just like really wanted it. But I do grocery pickup now because that's just the best thing ever. Not even having to go into the fluorescent lights and all of the sounds and everything. So I always do grocery pickup, but you can't, which is dumb. These people know like how old I am. You can't pick up alcohol. They can't bring alcohol to your car. And so I
Oh,
like got like the orange and the limes that I needed for it. And then that was for us when it dropped to all of a sudden being like -4 every day.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going in there. So I just have an orange and two limes still in my kitchen. Like, what are you gonna do with us?
I think an orange, like a fat, juicy orange, is like one of the best
Hmm.
snacks in the entire world.
Yeah, it's too messy for me, but like I love the flavor. I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. I just,
I do apples more.
I do oranges more. That's so funny.
Yeah, like Honey Crisp apples, cut like really thin slices of them and very cold. I love that.
I do love a honey crisp. I do love a honey crisp. I like feel like I'm like in like some sort of like era where like my body is just like naturally like we can be cheating
Hmm.
our meals, or I don't even like to say cheat meals because that's a whole
I
other
know.
conversation, but
I get it.
like
Yeah.
splurge if you want to, or like have whatever you
Yes.
want. But like also like so part of my stress from last like a week ago was
Hmm.
the company that I work for, we've been working remotely since March of 2020, and they
Quite a bit.
were like, okay, after 4 years, perhaps we should start getting people to come back into the office, which
Ugh.
is a long commute for me. So it's
Hmm.
wear and tear on my car. It's a lot of money in gas. But I
Hmm.
also like after working 3.5 years from home, I was like,
Yeah.
now's a good time to get a puppy. And I didn't get a puppy to keep him at home for 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
I
I
get
was
it.
like really stressed about that. But like one of the compromises was we are to have a weekly in-person meeting every week, which I'm fine with. But we go to this like cafe and they have like a lot of like meat stuff.
Right.
So my go-tos there are either a garden salad or a grilled
Sounds
cheese sandwich.
thrilling.
Yeah, their garden salad is so good that like
Oh, nice.
I have been like craving it. Like I had it last week and I had it
Ooh.
yesterday when we had our
Ooh,
meeting.
that's good.
And it's just like I'm driving to work or to work. I'm driving to this meeting for like a half hour and all I
Yeah.
can taste is like the lettuce.
Oh, that's awesome. Yep.
So,
See, this is reminding me of those memes that's like, why are the only good salads like $15 and someone else has to make them for you? Because it is like a
mhm.
good salad. You're like, damn, I do love salads. But then you try to like make the exact same thing at home and you're like, this doesn't slap as much.
It's huge. It's huge. It's such a
That's
big salad.
awesome.
It's so good. So that's like been my I'm like, oh my God, look at me like cereal like a healthy cereal, like oatmeal crisp is like kind of like a special
Right?
K. Like a healthy cereal for dinner and then like
Yes.
salads. Like I'm gonna be like an Olsen twin in like 17 years. I can't wait.
It's like that.
Because
Have
I
you
have like
seen?
two healthy meals a week.
You're like, I'm doing it.
I'm
Have
like
you heard
hitting
the
it hard.
audio from Lena Dunham from Girls on TikTok that's like, I haven't really eaten, I didn't eat breakfast this morning. So, like, if I'm looking a little frail, that's why. It's like this really dramatized version of, like, oh my gosh, I must be like so skinny. And every time I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'll be like, I didn't have a cookie this week. I might look frail.
There's one part of a movie that I like love, but the writer and star of the movie is problematic right now with some of the things
Yeah.
that she's posted. But so I won't say the name or the comedian, but there is one funny part of this movie where she like passes out and this like guy is like, "What's going on? Like, are you okay?" And she's like, "I just haven't eaten much today." And he's like, "Oh my God, what did you have?" And she like lists off like
So much.
so many things. And he's like, so it's like noon and you've had breakfast, lunch, and like five snacks. And it like cracks me up because she's like, I just haven't had anything to eat. And like, he's like, okay, so you've had two meals and like 10 snacks so far. And I'm like,
Yes,
that's me. I have like four
it's me
snacks
too.
instead of like three. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, me too.
But
Me too.
I wanted to talk to you this week. There's a book that I read years ago
Ooh.
and it popped up. I don't know if it was like on like Instagram or something. It popped up somewhere and I was like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I love that book so much. I love that book so much. I love that book so much. And it was one of those ones where like a friend had recommended it to me and they were like, this
Mhm.
isn't your typical jam, but I
Yeah.
think you would love this. And I was like, okay.
Yes.
So I got it on my Kindle and I read this book probably like 2 years ago, and I just cannot stop thinking about it. And we've talked about how we're trying to be like pickier with what we pick up, what we request,
Mhm.
what we do with like our TBR. But like I've talked about how taking a risk on something that like
Mhm.
isn't my typical jam like flops for me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I wanted to know if there were any books that you thought I'm gonna take a risk on this, and it like really paid off. Like you were like, oh
Yeah.
wow. Like that was like I'm so glad that I decided to go outside of my comfort zone or outside of
Yes.
like the genre I typically read and like try
Yeah.
something a little different and like fell in love with it.
Mhm. Yeah. I did have some, thankfully.
Good. Good. You don't do you want to go first? Or
I
do you
will
want me to
go
go first?
first.
Yeah.
I'll go first. Um, so this one actually, so we're still in January.
Mhm.
This one is an Amazon First Reads option. So if you have Prime, you could actually read this one for free right now still. And it is called The Real Deal by Caitlin Devlin. So it is about Belle. Belle Simon was just 12 years old when she was one of the six girls plucked from obscurity to star in the reality TV sensation The Real Deal. Under the wing of dazzling star Donna Mayfair, she and the other five girls were meant to become world famous actresses, singers, and dancers. But at 26, Belle is trying to live anonymously, away from being loved or loathed. The public eye has never fully shut, however, and when a producer offers Belle a big paycheck to join a reunion for the real deal, she finds it hard to say no. If people are going to talk about the shocking final episode anyway, maybe this is an unexpected opportunity. Everyone thinks they know what happened, but only Belle knows what really occurred away from the cameras and outside the editing room. Is she ready to go back and confront her past? And will anyone believe her if she reveals the truth? So, this was billed as chick lit and contemporary fiction, and it is.
Mhm.
Um, it probably would be wrong to call it a thriller, but the pacing, like we've talked about with some books, was so
Mhm.
similar to a thriller. And you have dual timeline, which is something I just always love. But it was very emotional. The character development was like just so great. And obviously, I have a thing for reality TV, whether it's in a thriller or not. So I ended
Yeah.
up really, really, really loving this book, like way more than I expected to. I could not put it down.
I can't wait to read this. I'm actually ordering a physical copy on the first
Oh, nice.
because of
Yeah,
you.
and a little teaser on the first, my interview with this author, Caitlin Devlin, will come out on Between the Lines. So you can all listen to that as well
That's
if you end up
exciting.
reading it and loving it, or if you just want to listen. There are not spoilers in it. So,
Ooh, good, good. Um, so everything you said about the real deal,
mm-hmm.
I could say about my book that made me think of this
Ooh,
idea. Um, like, so the book I was referring to that gave me this idea, and the one that I think is like my segue is
mm-hmm,
The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller.
mm-hmm,
And it like is not a thriller, but it has dual timeline. It has like thriller like pacing. It's like a little literary at times,
mm-hmm.
but like you just can't put it down. Um,
Yeah,
it's just so good, so good. And there was so much more to it than like what the plot seems like. So,
mm-hmm,
um, but basically, The Paper Palace is a book in which on a perfect July morning, Elle, a 50-year-old happily married mother of three, awakens at the Paper Palace, her family's summer place where she visited every summer of her life. But this morning, she's kind of dealing with a little bit of anxiety because last night, her and her oldest friend, Jonas, crept out the back door into the darkness and had sex with each other for the first time. Um, Meanwhile, they're like spouses and friends for like inside having a great time together. Um, so over the next 24 hours, Elle will have to decide between the life she made for her with her genuinely beloved husband, Peter, and the life she always imagined she would have with her childhood love, Jonas, if a tragic event hadn't forever changed the course of their lives. It's just, ugh,
yeah.
I can't stop thinking about it. And it's been
You said
years,
it's
and I
very
just,
emotional, right?
it is very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the pacing is very much like a thriller with like
Nice.
literary writing. The
Mm-hmm.
characters are really drawn out, and it's just so so beautiful and so emotional. And
Yeah.
like she does a way of like painting a very vivid imagery in this one that
Mm-hmm.
like I literally sometimes will like just like picture the paper palace and like what it looks like in my head and be like, I can't go there because I don't know where this like place is that I'm picturing. But
Right.
yeah, it's just such a good book. And it's one of my like probably top 5 books I've ever read.
Yeah. I saw
Yeah.
someone post about it this week too, and it made me wonder because I think it was a podcast listener, and it made me wonder if they had heard about it from you. Made me
I
think
don't
of you.
know. I don't know. I just I just love it. It's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite books. And I can't believe that I picked up something that was like contemporary literary fiction,
Yeah.
not really
With
a
like an
thriller.
oil painting cover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like everything about that book was like, this is not within like at the time I was reading like very high pace like thrillers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
that would be a diversion. I don't know what I was trying to say.
it was definitely not in my comfort zone, and it definitely
Yeah.
wasn't something that like I would have picked up on my own if like my friend hadn't told me you should read this. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think you'd really like it. So
Yeah, those are so fun when someone else like knows. They're like, this is a little different, but I swear you're gonna like it.
yeah, yeah.
It's always cool when that plays out.
Because it's like sometimes like I feel like sometimes when like people really I had like one of these experiences like a couple weeks ago. Somebody really, really loves a book, so they try
Yeah,
to hype it up and be like, just because they love it, they think that you should love it as well. And then when
yeah,
you read it and you're like, no, I don't love this because it's not
yeah.
like so like it really sucks when like it's that situation. So having one like this really makes up for it.
It does.
Yeah.
You know, it does.
Mhm.
Well, my next one has no segue.
Is there an
But
oil painting cover?
no. But it is historical fiction, which is very bumpy for me to normally
Yeah.
commit to. It's just like difficult for me normally. But I saw enough interest in it that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna request this on NetGalley. It is available now. But it is Last Night at the Hollywood Canteen by Sarah James. Perhaps the best place in 1943 Hollywood to see the stars is the Hollywood Canteen, a club for servicemen staffed exclusively by those in show business. Murder mystery playwright Annie Lawrence, new in town after a devastating breakup, definitely hopes to rub elbows with the right stars. Maybe then she can get her movie made. But Hollywood proves to be more than tinsel and glamour. When despised film critic Fiona Ferris is found dead in the canteen kitchen, Annie realizes any one of the canteen's luminous volunteers could be guilty of the crime. To catch the killer, Annie falls in with Fiona's friends, a bitter and cynical group, each as uniquely unhappy in their life and career as Annie is in hers, that call themselves the Ambassadors Club. Solving a murder in real life, it turns out, is a lot harder than writing one for the stage, and by involving herself in the secrets and lies of the Ambassadors Club, Annie just might have put a target on her own back. The like
Damn.
dialogue was so snarky. That's what I think that's like really what got me even like from the very beginning. Um and there was like a lot of like shifting parts to solving the mystery. So it didn't totally feel like it was all like, oh, I'm so aware that it's the 1940s. Like it
Yeah.
didn't drag that way for me. And I ended up really loving it. It was very fun to read.
So far you have a theme going where like the covers to your books are absolutely fucking gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. This cover is very cool. I agree. And the real deal is very cool. Yeah. We
Yeah.
have pretty covers today.
Yeah. Um, I didn't notice this until now,
Uh-huh.
but because you pointed out the Paper Palace cover, I read it on my Kindle. So like
Oh
I
yeah.
don't have like a cover to like stare at as much. But I guess my theme right now is
Oil
covers that have
paintings.
oil paintings.
That's
Because
amazing.
the hardcover copy of my next book is an oil painting as well. So this
Oh
is
my
really cool.
gosh.
But my next one is the only segue I can think of is oil painting because it's not as exciting as the Hollywood Canteen.
Hollywood and Murder.
Yeah. But mine is Just by Looking at Him by Ryan O'Connell.
Okay.
And this is one where when it was pitched to me as like queer literary fiction, I was like, you know what? I really want to read this because Ryan O'Connell is
Mm,
in a Netflix TV show that I can't think of right now, but he was
Queer as
also
Folk.
in the Peacock remake of Queer as Folk he was in as well. But
Mm-hmm.
there's another Netflix
Special.
show. Yes, yes. You
Oh,
froze.
why am I frozen? There we go. I'm back.
You froze. Um, yes, special. And he's just so funny and so witty. And I just was like, you know what? Like, I have to read this because I'm
Yeah.
gonna like, usually if I read something that's like queer fiction, it's like a hockey romance or like something
Yes.
like, like something like that. Um,
Hmm.
but this one is just so good and I absolutely like love the story and it was like such a quick read and I was like laughing out loud and I just like it was one of those times that I read something that wasn't a thriller, but I still was like, I have no idea where this is going and I'm kind of into it,
Ooh, that's
you
cool.
know? So it's just such a good book.
Hmm.
And it is about a gay TV writer with cerebral palsy as he fights addiction and searches for acceptance in an overwhelmingly ableist world. So it's about Elliot. He appears to be living the dream as a successful TV writer with a doting boyfriend, but behind this like Instagram filter of a life that you think he has, he is dealing with alcohol addiction. He's cheating on his boyfriend with various sex workers, and his cerebral palsy is making him feel like a gay Shrek. So, after falling down a rabbit hole of sex drinking and Hollywood backstabbing, Elliot decides to limp his way towards redemption. But facing your demons is easier said than done. And it just goes from there into like this like
That
completely
sounds
different
so
story.
unique.
It's so unique. It's so good. It's like heartwarming and like funny. And it's
Yeah.
just like you can tell that there's probably I don't want to say anything about Ryan O'Connell because I don't know if he's
Hmm.
ever struggled with addiction. I don't know if he's
Yeah.
ever had interactions with sex workers or whatever the case may
Right.
be, but you can tell that there's like a lot of his like wit and personality in this story,
Yeah.
even if these aren't things that he's like struggled with, but it was just such a good book. And it was like at the end of it, we was like, damn, like that really paid off. Like stepping out of my comfort
Oh,
zone made me really love that book.
oh, I love that.
Yeah. So, oh
You make me want to read it now.
my God,
Your
you would
oil
die
painting
laughing.
books.
No. My
You
third
and
one
your
is
oil
not an oil painting, but I could do an oil painting of it for how much I love it.
I don't know if I'm trying to think of, I mean, I don't know that it could come to mind. Anyway, I don't think I could think of oil painting covers, but there might have been one somewhere along the way that I've read. Who
I know.
knows? Surely some thriller I've read kind of made use of that, but maybe not.
Maybe that's what I've been missing in my life reading thrillers.
Yeah.
All the oil paintings.
That's how we start, like being like, oh, this is a book we probably should try.
Yeah. Oh my God, oil
An
painting?
oil
Sign me up.
painting. Well, mine has an unconventional relationship in it, but I don't know if that's offensive to say just because he felt like gay Shrek. But uh that's my best segue that I have for
Okay.
my next
Well, that's,
one.
yeah, that
Um,
works.
and I'm also stretching it a little bit because it is sci-fi, but it was an author I found who has a whole series of books that are kind of like Black Mirror is how they're pitched, but I hadn't actually read a book that was compared to Black Mirror. So that's why I'm counting this one as kind of out of my comfort zone. Um, I'm also not totally sci-fi. It's not like if someone says sci-fi, I'm like ready to read it. So I'm
Right.
over justifying at this point, but it is called The Prediction by Faith Gardner. It was at one time called Amen Maxine. So you may have seen it under either of those names, but it is about a new marriage, a perfect home, and a machine that says it's all a lie. Welcome to Silicon Valley, where the weather's perfect, the income is high, and Rowena Snyder is miserable. A transplant from New York, Rowena moved into her husband Jacob's idyllic childhood home with their new baby. But suburbia isn't Rowena's cup of Starbucks, and she's got serious anxiety and depression to boot. Jacob, worried about their marriage, scores a new product currently in beta testing from his tech job. Maxine, a digital friend that bonds with an individual by continually gathering their personal data. Along with functioning like an upscale digital assistant, Maxine has advice and prediction modes that have shown promise for patients with mental health issues. To Rowena's shock, the device turns out to be not just helpful, but eerily accurate, predicting events even before they occur. It's a godsend until Maxine offers a series of increasingly bone-chilling predictions that will change Rowena's life forever. This domestic suspense novel, set in a near future dystopia, asks, who do you trust more, your mind, your man, or your machine?
Dang.
So it is not included in this synopsis, but something that this author does that's really cool is she does like little reels where she like kind of does like a POV, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, this is actually what my book is about.
Oh, cool.
And so she gives it away. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it away. Um, the Maxine tells Rowena that her husband is going to kill her, is the prediction that Rowena gets. And I feel like that's a really important part of the book to like also know that could probably get you hooked. So after she like had a few predictions correct, then she's like, your husband's gonna kill you. And so after all this trust has been built up, now it's like what was really fascinating to me about it, very similar to Black Mirror episodes, is you're like in this new thing where the main character is kind of in a relationship with an AI piece of tech. They've like developed a relationship and she trusts her. And now she has to decide how much she trusts her.
Jesus.
It was so good. It was
How do
very
you
good.
what was the new name? I keep seeing like Call Me Maxine. What's the new name, like the updated
The
one?
new name is The Prediction by Faith Gardner.
Okay.
It was like so claustrophobic. And the other thing that I thought was very cool about it, because she's like a transplant, knows nobody, like moves, doesn't know anyone, and it's just like really isolating and all of that. So she's like a new mom with like no friends. And now she's like, is my husband about to kill me? So it's like very claustrophobic feeling the longer you get into the story. But it also kind of has some really interesting implications when you think about anxiety and like how we make our own predictions and sometimes we're wrong. So it was very, very interesting to me. And I want to read more of her series. They're all standalone. So they're called the Jolvix episodes.
Yeah,
And so
I'm
there
looking at this right
are
now.
there are 6 books in the series. And all of them are unique characters, but like someone in each story works for Jolvix, which is kind of like think any mega tech company that we have now, like kind of like Google or Apple or something.
My God,
Someone
this
in
is
each book
really
works
cool.
for them. Yeah,
They
it's a
all
really unique concept.
they all kind of seem like they're different genres too.
Yeah,
Not
there's
like
that's
they're all like suspense, thriller, mystery, but like
mm-hmm.
serial killer thriller. I'm seeing
Yes. Yeah, The Slaying Game is a serial killer thriller.
yeah, family dramas,
Yep. Violet is Nowhere is like
psychological.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to check her out. There was another book I think you recommended by her. We
Yes.
Are the
It
Hunters.
yes,
They
I
Are the
think they are the
Hunters.
hunters. Yeah. That one I'm also very excited to read because that one just sounds wild.
Yeah, it does.
That one sounds really good.
Um,
But yeah, she just started independently publishing and was like, so I'll be putting out even more books for you. And I was like, good for her.
that's awesome. That
Mm-hmm.
is awesome. Um, my my next one is kind of like a little bit of a thriller as well. But
Nice.
like at the time that the reason I like say I like stepped out of my comfort zone with this one is because at the
Mm-hmm.
time I was reading really fast-paced, dark Nordic noir, fast-paced
Oh
serial
yeah.
killer books. Like I was just reading like a lot of that kind of thing where there's like a murder to be solved or something like really dark and sinister. Um, but this book was pitched to me, and I don't know if it was compared to Luckiest Girl Alive or if it was compared to Jessica Knoll. But
Oh
that's when
yeah.
I was like, okay, like no, I'll read it. Um,
I'll take it.
and it's White Ivy by Susie Yang.
Oh yes.
Because there's nothing in the plot that I was like, this seems like a thriller or a mystery or a suspense that I would enjoy, but it has that
Mm-hmm.
sinister, slow pace, like ominous dark cloud that's like over the entire book that like you just can't look away.
Yes.
But I just loved it. And it's about Ivy Lynn, a thief and a liar, but you'd never know it by looking at her. So Ivy was raised outside of Boston, with her immigrant grandmother who relied on Ivy's mild appearance for cover as she teaches her how to pilfer items for yard sales and secondhand shops. So like switching price tags and like just like doing things that's like not exactly like full on stealing, but like just
Resourceful.
yeah, like just like kind of like teeter-tottering on like really shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Um so this allows Ivy to accumulate the trappings of a suburban teen and most importantly to attract the attention of Gideon Spire, the golden boy of a wealthy political family. But when Ivy's mother realizes what she's been doing, she punishes her by sending her to China and her dream instantly evaporates. So years later, Ivy has grown into a poised yet restless young woman, haunted by her conflicting feelings about her upbringing and her family. When she is back in Boston, she runs into Sylvia Spire, Gideon's sister, and a reconnection with Gideon seems not only inevitable, but Ivy thinks it's fate. So slowly she kind of tries to infiltrate her way back into Gideon's life and the entire Spire family by attending their dinners and weekend getaways to the Cape. But just about when Ivy thinks that like she's got this in the bag, a ghost from her past resurfaces, threatening to take her nearly perfect life and crush it into smithereens.
Hmm.
So that
This
is
was the first book I think it was the first recommendation of yours that I ever read after like
really.
talking to you. Like I think when we talked before, when we were just like planning if we could have a podcast, you
Hmm.
mentioned this one. So I think this was like, other than like, I'm sure I read some from your Instagram, but it was the first one that you like physically told me about. And I started reading it. I was like, this is so good. I loved it.
I love that book so much.
Hmm.
I can't wait to see what she does next.
Yeah. Did you say she is working on something?
I have no idea. I have no
Okay,
idea
I
if she
couldn't
is.
remember if we talked about it recently or not.
I don't think there's like anything like on Amazon or anything that I've seen that like
Mhm.
alludes to the fact that something's coming out soon, but
Right.
um whatever it is, it'll be worth the wait. I just love White Ivy
Oh
so
yeah.
much. I love that book
Yeah.
so much. And it was so
It had so many layers to it.
yeah, I think the comparison to Jessica Knoll was like spot on. Because you know how
Yeah.
like some books are like, oh, like you should read this if it's like if you like this book that was popular last year. You know, like they did that with
Yeah.
Gone Girl. Like everything was like,
Oh, everything was gone,
oh,
girl.
if there's one couple in the book that's married, you should read this because it's like
Yes.
just like Gone Girl. But
Or
but
like a
yeah, this is like
psychological thriller at all. It was just like gone,
yeah,
girl.
yeah. Ugh. Poor Gillian Flynn. Like she's probably
I
like, I have
know.
so many book ideas, but like I don't want you guys to make me like sick of them by comparing everything to them.
Yeah.
But but yeah, White Ivy was one of those times when like somebody actually like the publisher pitched something to me and like they were spot on with their
Mhm.
recommendation.
Yeah. It was so good. It was very fun.
Oh, I love that book and that one
Yeah.
scene.
I know. It's like the first thing that always comes to mind.
Me too, and I can like picture it like so vividly in my head, and I'm just
You're
like, wow, like when
so
do I
cinematic.
yeah, yeah. So now I want to have like a weekend, like maybe in like the spring or something, where I
Hmm.
reread these three books again
Yeah.
together because that
Oh,
would just be
that
like
would be
such a
cool.
wild trifecta for me.
It would be.
And
Kind
for
of
anybody
all
that's
kinds of things going on.
yeah, and for anyone who's listening who might, So if you're in a reading slump or if you are just looking for something that is outside of your comfort zone, now you have some recommendations on what we think would help you pick up a book and find the joy in
Maybe
reading.
enjoy a non-thriller.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I'm always after I read The Real Deal, I almost did a post in my stories, but I forgot to. I'm also always intrigued that if anyone has read books that aren't thrillers and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you would love this," like
Mm-hmm.
please DM them to me because
Same.
I'm always interested in that, but it's like sometimes I get scared to like try something that isn't going to have like fun pacing. So if
Yeah.
anyone else has ideas, send them to us.
Yeah. 100%. I'm always willing to like read something that is outside of my comfort zone as long as it's something that's really interesting.